Alright, hi everyone, Serenity here, and today's going to be a bit of a rambly one, but it's going to be an important one, I think. There is something going on right now with Destiny that I don't think I can quite explain easily, but I'm going to try my best. Bungie have had this really big problem right now, and it's coming to light with things like Faction Rally, where they're trying to make these leaps which just don't make sense, to be completely honest. Faction Rally, the emblems even have jokes in them. You know, 4 times the victor, 2 times the whatever, and 0 time the future whatever for the future war cult, for how many times each faction has won. Now, effectively, this faction rally is being broadcast as this very big choice, because you can only pledge to one faction, which is A, limiting the content on a game which is strapped for content. That is such a poor idea I cannot even explain to you. But there is this artificial inflation of, I guess, gameplay that is happening. Now, back in Destiny 1, this kind of happened, but never to this extreme. This Nessun Dawn quest with the Polaris Lance is ridiculous. It's not a long quest. This is the thing. People are saying this is the longest quest that Destiny has ever had. No, it's not. The Outbreak Prime was definitely longer than this, and it was harder and more rewarding. The difference is time gating something is not making it longer, it's making it prolonged. There is a very big difference. Now, imagine in a film, there is a filler arc. Take The Last Jedi, for example. Um, that whole casino thing, that was filler. It was garbage, it felt awful, and it just was terrible. It was just bad. But it still was there to try and serve a purpose to progress the story, even if it was shit. Imagine if that had just been 45 minutes of them sitting down, eating lunch. Do you think people would have sat there in the cinema and waited for them to finish their lunch and carried on with the film? No, of course not. Why? Because one of them, while padding out the runtime, is garbage. It's still garbage with kind of a purpose. The other one is just there for keepsake. It's just there to pad the time out completely. And this is in every film, and it's in every genre, it's in every game, it's in everything. But Destiny has been taking it to these extremes. And considering one of your biggest events right now requires 3 people at max light, which it doesn't, I don't give 2 shits what anyone says. If Escalation Protocol requires 3 people at max light, uh, I'm the Queen of fucking England. There is no way that was meant for 3 people with max light unless you are 3 fucking godly players. It's just not a thing. It's just not a thing at all. I did it for the first time with 9 people the other day, and I didn't get the shotgun, unfortunately. I was very upset. I got the sniper rifle and the SMG. We were farming for about 6 hours, and then some dick left, took his fire team with him because he got the gun he wanted. Now, that is the state of the community at the minute, though. People are out for themselves, and fire teams effectively, you are forcing yourselves into people's fire teams. I don't have the footage anymore, unfortunately, but I have a thing when I was just AFK for like 5 minutes while making a coffee and stuff. And I came back and I was just getting spammed with invites and messages because there is no way for these people to matchmake. And they were begging me to get out of the server and give them my fire team so that they could do escalation protocol. Like, that shouldn't be a thing. I was being literally harassed by people for like an hour and a half, and I refused to leave because they were sending me like really rude messages. I was like, you know what, fuck these kids, I'm going to stay here and farm. And yeah, maybe that was a bit of a dick move on my part, but you know what? Don't send people messages being a dick, basically, if they're AFK. If someone's making a drink, let them get their fucking drink. And this kind of comes around to the same problem of extending content out for the sake of extending content out to make it feel more padded. Why did the Rise of Iron feel like a lot of content? A. Collectibles inside of the raid and gated behind challenge. Why did the challenges that were added and the books feel good? Because they were things that were gated behind challenge. The thing that was stopping you wasn't an arbitrary wait time of every reset. Except for some of the challenges, obviously, if you had to complete a certain challenge, but you couldn't have all the challenges out in 1 week, because or else everyone would have all the loot in a day, and people would power up too fast. That makes sense. And the challenges required learning for everyone. The challenges required you to use LFG, and required a lot of input on the community's part. So YouTubers got their content, everyone got their content, streamers got their content, etc., etc. The wheel kept turning. And this is something that Destiny 2 doesn't have, because rather than adding this actual challenge or actual time gate, that the only thing stopping it is, well, player skill, there is just wait a week. There you go. That's it. Wait a week. That is different. That isn't skill. That isn't anything. It isn't a long quest. I keep hearing, like, I even think Unknown Player said this is the longest quest in Destiny history. It's not. It's really not. I can guarantee you, you start doing this quest next after this one is done, hop onto a side character, redo the quest, and I can guarantee you have it done in under an hour, and that will be it. You have it done so quickly without the arbitrary wait time. When something like the Outbreak Prime or something, which the Outbreak Prime, if you think about it, was you had to get the calcified fragments, not calcified fragments, what were they called? Seva fragments. So the quest started from there, and you were unaware that it was starting this quest chain. So you were going through, you had to get all the way through the raid to get some of the Seva fragments, because one of them was under that bridge just before the Axis fight. There was so many, and you didn't get that on the first time as well. You didn't get that on the first time as well. So yeah, there's that. But there were so many things that were gating you from getting the start of that quest, like actually completing the raid. So for people who were not necessarily very into raiding, it took time, and there was that level of actual player skill involved to complete these events. When it comes to Destiny 2, however, especially with the raid and everything, a lot of the challenge and a lot of the awesome stuff that you would want is all either time gated or just boring. There's just never this thing, and faction rallies is such a good, just I guess, combination of all of this game's failures. They've added in cool stuff to grind for, but now they've made it so you can only pledge to one faction. Why? Because it's going to make the game more interesting? No, it's just going to mean in 2 days I'm going to have grinded 1,000 tokens, got this faction rally done, and have nothing to do for the next 6 months until the next faction rally. But it's not only that. The reason I think this is so bad is because effectively they are trying to push out this idea that this faction rally is such an amazing choice. But it's not. There is no choice. There is no choice at all. And some people will say, well, there is, because I'm going to pick Future Warcraft, I'm going to pick New Monarchy, etc., etc. I'm someone that's always pledged to New Monarchy first. Always and always. Always have. But I'm also someone that likes PvP. Now, if I don't pledge to Dead Orbit, I'm not going to be able to play the PvP. That's just a simple fact. I can just about hold my own with the Vigilance Wing against the Graviton Lance as it is. And that is without bonus fucking target acquisition and I can't remember what the other thing. I think it's 20% handling or is it 20% range? I can't remember. But it's overpowered. That catalyst is fucking ridiculously overpowered. You are making a gun that's already absolutely dominating the PvP scene. You're giving it target acquisition. You're giving it one of the best perks in the game for a scout rifle and a pulse rifle. And the Graviton Lance is effectively a scout rifle, basically. And there's just no way to fight it. There will be no way to fight it. If you do not pick up a Graviton Lance and get the catalyst, you are fucked. You are not going to be able to play the PvP to any believable standard. You are just going to be feeding. And that is a problem because you have taken away player choice. By increasing the difficulty, you have arbitrarily made it so much easier. There is no choice anymore. You haven't made this need for grind. You haven't made this need for everyone to grind their own faction. You haven't given a reason. You have just literally given us an ultimatum. You either don't go on PvP for the next however long, or you just did pledge to Dead Orbit. That's your only choice. There is nothing else you can do. And that is stupid. That is very, very stupid. And Escalation Protocol, all of these things are just a testament to how badly this game is designed. And the team that is designing it, I do think the biggest issue with it is still, I've said this, I've harped on it so many fucking times. There is a reason Fortnite does so well. There is a reason PUBG is dying. PUBG is practically dead in comparison to Fortnite. Why? Because they do not get out updates fast enough. Of course, one of them was an indie company starting out, yes, but at the same time, you need people with the money they have. You need to get people in who can make updates quickly. And it's the same thing with a company like Bungie. You need to put the money into your systems. Their systems are so fucking poorly optimized. It should never take a month to fix a minor problem. Something like the clan engram should never take anywhere near a month to fix. And there are people on Twitter always defending, and every time I argue this, they say, you have no idea about the back end. I actually do. I have coded before. I've used games engines before. There isn't this complicated, unbelievable. You don't have to like go into 50 different documents and code it really to the T, and it's going to blow up the entire game if you fuck up. No, you have different versions of the game. They have a version of Destiny which is not linked to the main servers at all. They will have several copies of this, probably tens of thousands of different copies of this incremental game. If you look at how many games are incrementally released within a company, there is fucking hundreds, just so many different copies. They don't burn them to a disc, obviously. Of course they don't. That'd be fucking stupid. You'd have a building of discs. You'd just have a building of discs. But at the same time, there is ways that they could easily make Destiny into either a different platform. They just make it into a different game, host it on different games engine, or say fuck it, let's completely stop updating it for like a year, let the game die, and wait for a huge update. Because I can't imagine that even with this September update coming, it's going to be anywhere near big enough to save this game. I just can't see it anymore. Because no matter what they do, it's always one good step in the right direction, 5 steps backwards. Escalation Protocol was a great idea, but making a community-driven event when your community is at an all-time low and making it so ridiculously hard that even when you have 9 people, it needed nerfing for some people. That is ridiculous. That is just fucking stupid. I cannot explain how stupid that is. I haven't even stepped foot in Spire of Stars. The moment I saw the loot, I said, fuck that. There's no point going into Spire of Stars. It's just the same armor set with a slight fucking nut and bolt handed here and there. A fusion rifle I don't give a shit about because I have the main ingredient. And a fucking sidearm that isn't the last hope so you could shove it up your cunt. Like, there's so many reasons that just, I don't know who gets to make these decisions. I don't get who they run these past, but it's just, it's just so simple. It's just so fucking simple, and I cannot see how this failing is happening. Not to mention that they are going down this microtransaction route that every other company right now is completely devolving away from. And what have they done? They've gone and fucking partnered up with a Chinese company to make a different game, a company that's very well known for making mobile games which are basically microtransaction farms. Bungie, you got into bed with the devil. You're not going to make it up by sleeping with his sister. Just, Jesus Christ. They're going to be splitting resources already to make DLC, Destiny 3, and now they're splitting their resources even more to make another game when their main franchise at the minute is a fucking train wreck. Bungie, just sort it out. This is just sort it the fuck out. You have hundreds of millions of fucking pounds to do this. You are a billion-dollar company, basically. How the fuck are you getting so many things wrong? I just don't understand. You just get a different Q&A team. Fire your fucking Q&A team. They are useless. Well, this has been something different. I hope you guys in some way have enjoyed this. As always, this is the conversation, so leave a comment below to discuss this kind of shit, because at this point, I'm fucking shouting into an echo chamber. Peace out, guys, and as always, have a good one.